Welcome everyone, and then in today's video I would like to talk about the parts of the electric guitar. So if you've seen my earlier video, we talked about the parts of the acoustic guitar, and the parts of the electric guitar pretty much are the same, but a few minor differences, and minor differences that I guess they really do make a big difference if you really know what you're doing. So some of the parts that are going to be the same are headstock, tuners, nut, neck, body. And then over here, we're going to start getting some ones that look very different. So this is still a bridge. This whole area is still considered a bridge. And then these are little saddles. So on an acoustic guitar, you generally have what's called a single, like a saddle or a compensated saddle, which just simply means that there's like that little ridge for the B string. So you'll notice that your saddle kind of just has a little line or like an extra, like it's pushed over for the B string. That's called a compensated saddle, and that's generally on better guitars. Or it's kind of angled funny. On an electric guitar, they actually let you adjust each saddle individually, and so that's why there's 6 of them, so you can do more adjustments. So the whole chunk would be considered the bridge, and each little piece individually are called saddles. Now, that's going to bring us to more of the electronic parts. We have a pickguard, which a pickguard pretty much has 2 main functions. It's just to hide the stuff that's underneath, because there's a whole bunch of nonsense and wires under here, but it's also used to prevent you from scratching the actual paint on the guitar. So the parts that we're going to have over here are going to be, these are pickups, and your pickups might look different. These are called single coil pickups, and sometimes they're humbuckers, and humbuckers are going to look like 2 of these put together. So sometimes there'll be like a big fat one here or a big fat one here. That's not 4 pickups. It's not 1 and 2, 1 and 2. It's 1 and 1. So if you see 2 of these like kind of skinny bar looking things put next to each other, that's a single pickup called a humbucker. So these are single coil pickups which emit noise. What's called 60 cycle hum. They make noise, but they have a more kind of a quack is what's being called, or they have a more like authentic guitar sound. And the newer style, which are more humbuckers, are generally better for like heavier rock and things like that. Still great all around. They're a lot quieter. I personally prefer humbuckers. It's just this guitar has single coils. Okay, so this is going to be called the neck pickup because, well, hey, it's closer to the neck. This is called the bridge pickup because it's closer to the bridge. And this one, I hope you understand why that's called the middle pickup. So neck pickup, middle pickup, and bridge pickup. Now, we can actually turn those pickups on or off with our selector switch. And I'll go ahead and turn this guitar this way so you kind of get a feel for where it's at. So right now it's all the way in the up position. So when it's all the way in the up position, now this particular switch has 5 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Has a total of 5 positions. If you have 2 humbuckers, like a humbucker here and a humbucker here, you probably have 3 positions. And your little selector switch could be up here, it could be here, it could be here, it doesn't really matter, it's the same thing. So on a 5 position setup, this position all the way at the top is going to turn the neck pickup on. This is going to turn neck and bridge, just the bridge, I'm sorry, just the middle and bridge, and bridge. Let's run that again. So it's neck, neck, middle, 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 bridge, and finally just bridge. So there's a couple options you don't have. For example, you don't have the option to turn all 3 pickups on, or you don't have the option to turn just your neck and just your bridge on. Those are generally more advanced options that you really don't use that often, but you can pay extra money to get those features installed on a guitar. And that's how it is on a typical 5-position setup. Now, if you have a 3-position setup, if you only have 3 thingies, 3 settings on your pickup selector switch, that's generally because you only have 2 pickups. So in that case, the top one would turn on your neck pickup. The middle one would turn on a combination of neck and bridge because you don't have a middle pickup, and then the bottom one would just turn on your bridge. And that's essentially what a pickup selector switch is. Now this particular guitar has a volume knob, need some work on that, and it's got 2 tone knobs. And this tone knob, kind of hear how that affects sound there. This tone knob is linked to the neck pickup. This tone knob, you notice how when I turn it here, it's not making any sound difference. It's not linked to the bridge pickup like you might think. It's actually linked to the middle pickup. Okay, so you can actually kind of adjust your sound. So this one's linked to the neck pickup, and this one's linked to the bridge pickup, and it lets you sort of adjust your sound. The majority of the players that I know, they just generally turn these all the way to 10 because it's a little hard to fuss with them to go, okay, this one goes at 8 and this one goes at 6, and it's just too much. So a lot of times players just turn them all the way to 10. The way these potentiometers work is that they're if you turn it to 10, it's letting 100% of the signal through, and if you back it off, you're actually cutting what the signal is. So you're only eliminating things that are originally meant to be there, I suppose. You're not like actually taking anything away that is not. So you're just, your signal's 100%, and now you're reducing it 90, 80, 70. You're actually taking out some of the highs. So let's hear how some of these pickups sound so you kind of get an idea. That's our neck pickup. Let's switch to neck and middle. More blues or quack to it. A little more. And there's that famous sound right there for blues. And that sounds all about country chicken picking, just ear-splitting highs, or if you're into rock, you would have distortion and all that, and those are going to sound pretty different. Let's try it with a little bit of distortion just to see how that would sound. So it might be sort of hard to hear some of the nuances there, but you can definitely hear that there's a little bit of extra highs or a little extra lows on one side. So generally, because this pickup is closer to the bridge, there's actually less vibration here at the bridge, and so what they do is they actually put more winds on this coil, which makes this bridge pickup a little louder. They do that intentionally because the string doesn't vibrate as much at this particular part of the guitar. It's going to vibrate a lot over here, and if you actually hit it, you'll see like, whoa, it really doesn't vibrate. You can whack it, and this string's going nuts over here, but it's not really doing so much over here. So they generally wind this coil a little bit more, and that kind of gives you like a lead and a solo sound. So if you wanted a rhythm sound, you kind of have, let's see if I did this. If you wanted a rhythm sound, maybe my rhythm sound might be up here on the neck pickup, and then my solo sound might be closer to the back. And why that's important is because if I have more winds on my pickup, it means that I get more volume, but more importantly, I get more gain and more distortion, which means more sustain, which means I'm able to let those notes ring out a little bit longer, which is exactly what you need for a lot of blues, rock, classic kind of solos. So anyways, the basic parts on your guitar: headstock, tuners, nut, neck, body, bridge, saddles, pickups, neck, middle, and bridge, volume and tone pots, pickup selector switch, output jack, strap buttons. Over here, this is called a string tree. Some guitars have it, some don't. The way that you differentiate which ones do is if your guitar has an angled headstock. Like if I hold this headstock up, you'll notice it's flat, it's in line with the neck. But if it has an angled headstock, like a Les Paul would, then it would not need a string tree because you don't need that angle. Or you don't need an extra piece of that. So when you have a string tree, it just says, oh, you don't have an angled headstock, and it's trying to give the strings the appropriate angle so that so that it breaks over the nut and over the saddles. Those are the parts of the electric guitar. If you haven't, make sure to check out the parts of the acoustic guitar. All of this is part of our beginning guitar series. I'm Micah from Lessons at Rock, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and favorite.